Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and have ourselves a drink.
All right, and Michaela is singing, so we are back in the lobby bar for the week of June the 10th, 2024. Brian and Michaela here with you again. And Michaela, this week in the lobby bar, we're going to be using up an ingredient that we're going to be featuring on this week's cocktail. You know, you and I made it out to see Furiosa just this past week, right? Mad Max
Yes.
saga film. It's very good. It's very good. We were sitting in the lobby of our Regal Theater there, having a cocktail. They had some themed cocktails as they're wont to do, and one of them featured Mezcal, which led us on a bit of a rabbit hole, trying to figure out which was which. What is a Mezcal?
Yeah. And the only thing that my taste buds can tell the difference because mezcal seems very smoky, um, but and tequila is very tequila-y, so it's got that like stinging kind of tartness at the front end.
Mm,
Tequila
mhm.
apparently has an interesting effect on people versus other alcohol. I mean, I don't know if that's true, if that's an actual truth, but some people are like, hey, there's a whole song about tequila making people's clothes come off. People get really mad when they drink tequila. Um, don't ask her on a straight tequila night. That's a whole song where it's like she gets real
Mm.
mad on tequila. She can drink anything else, but don't mess with someone on tequila. I don't know. So I don't. I'm sure you know the actual differences and
Mm.
are about to tell me because
I
I
do kind of sort of, yeah. I mean, I kind of knew, and like the world as a whole, outside of Mexico didn't really know that much about mezcal really, until pretty recently. And then mezcal just kind of like swarmed at least the United States in terms of cocktail making. All these bartenders and cocktail crafters were using mezcal in their drinks. It just kind of came in out of nowhere. And we kind of knew that it was like tequila adjacent, right? We were familiar with tequila. You know, Jose Cuervo. We all had those nights back in college. We knew that. We knew that those were bad nights and long mornings, for sure, or long nights and bad mornings, I guess, depending on how you wanna look at it. And then as our palates refined, we started getting into things that were like 100% agave, better tequila drinks, better margaritas, top shelf margaritas, and then mezcal came in. So what is the difference between mezcal and tequila? Well, a lot is different, but not a lot is different. So they're both made from agave, right? So to be a mezcal, it has to be made from agave. So technically, a tequila is a mezcal, but tequila has a little bit different parameters that make it tequila. So to be a tequila,
ooh,
it has to be made specifically with Blue Weber agave, and the agave is typically steamed to cook it to get the sugars out of it. And they do that for a couple of reasons. A, because it's cheap, steam's pretty cheap. It's pretty fast and pretty efficient. And then you get a pretty consistent flavor because steam doesn't taste like anything, right? So it just gets the sugar out of that. It makes a
mm.
nice consistent product, which is really good when you want to flood the market with bottles of tequila, coast to coast, pole to pole on the globe. You go anywhere, you get a silver tequila margarita. It's going to taste the same. Going to taste the same. And most of our tequilas come from the Jalisco region in Mexico. So that's your tequila. Okay, that's tequila. That's what
Okay,
we know. That's what we love. We love a
that is
tequila.
true. We that is okay.
Yeah. So what is the difference then in a mezcal? So mezcal can be made from has to be made from agave, same, but it can be made from any kind of agave. And I guess there's like 40-ish different types
Oh
of the
wow.
agave plant. So a lot of different variants there. And the way that they cook it, as opposed to using steam, they actually roast the agave in like these fire pits,
No
which is where it
way.
gets that characteristic smoky flavor. That's where that's coming from.
Ah,
And then mezcal can come from anywhere, but typically you see it coming from Oaxaca, in Mexico there. That's kind of where the bigger ones are. But because of that, because they can use any type of agave, it's smoky. You get a lot of variants in the flavors of mezcal. So you'll see, bars will specify like a particular mezcal because it's going to have a different flavor to it. Kind of like scotches in that sense, or kind of like a wine varietal, right? You're really sort of like
yeah.
like picking, kind of the agave that you want to use. But that is the big difference there. So kind of the same, but kind of different, and kind of smoky, and kind of delicious.
Kind of delicious. I mean, that is true. I mean, I like both, right? And I found it. I think for this next cocktail that we create for Furiosa, it's going to be cool to use a mezcal because of that smokiness, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of explosions, so that makes sense. But we've done a lot. Well, I've done a lot more drinking of mezcal lately because I don't know. I feel like I discovered it for the first time maybe 18 months ago, which is probably
Mhm.
not true. But that is so interesting because
Yeah.
I do feel, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but like I think you're right. Tequila is as tequila does, right? Like there's a whole bunch of tequilas out there and people have their favorite, but I can't taste that huge of a difference. But
Mhm.
in mezcal, holy moly, I mean, there are some that are like, there was one that we had in Santa Fe that was like this rhubarb-ish kind of soury mezcal, and it was just
Okay.
mezcal. It wasn't infused with anything, but it literally tasted a like a very tart rhubarb kind of thing. It was very strange. And I guess that means that it was either roasted in a different way or the actual agave that it came from kind of had that hue to it.
Mhm. Different
Anyway,
notes. Yeah.
that's so cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty interesting, and it's interesting to have a bottle of mezcal on hand because you can, swap it in or out with tequila in your cocktails. It's just going to give it a different, flavor characteristic. Mezcal purists will say that, it should be drank straight, I guess, which is what tequila purists would say as well. There, maybe just a bit of lime there on the side to have that, but you can interchange them. So your house margarita recipe, try it with mezcal, see what you think. Kind of anything you would do for that, and you know going forward, if we're making a mezcal drink like we are in this week's Furiosa episode, if you don't want to buy a bottle of mezcal, that's perfectly understandable. It is a little bit more expensive than tequila because of that. It's a little bit more dare I say artisanal, I guess, than tequila would be, or at least like the price range reflects that for sure. But what I thought we would do today, Michaela, since we went ahead and got ourselves a bottle of mezcal, we should make a tried and true cocktail that is perfect for the summer. I know it's one of your favorites, it's one of my favorites, it's one of my wife's favorites, which is perfect for the summer, and that is the paloma. So this is going to be a mezcal paloma. It is simple. You could have these on hand all summer, just good to go. So get yourself a tall, like a Collins glass, fill it with ice, put in 2 ounces of your mezcal, a half ounce of lime juice, or don't even bother measuring out. Take a half of a lime, squeeze that in there, and then top that sucker up with some grapefruit soda. You can salt or use a little bit of that tahine on the rim if you want. You don't have to,
Mm,
but sip and enjoy. It tastes like summer. It tastes a little bit smoky from the mezcal, not too much. It's perfect. It's like a charred grapefruit paloma. Love it.
yeah, that sounds delicious. Um, I have to say, like, I totally missed the boat apparently on the whole just sipping tequila. But
Mm, mm, mm.
I was in Colorado last week. And it reminded me of a gentleman named Ricardo who's from Mexico, and he was like, "Michaela, we're gonna have tequila tonight." And I said, "Okay." And he sat me down, and he was like, "We're just gonna have cold tequila in like a glass." And I was like, "That's it." And he was like, "Well, you can have some lime." Like, but he was like, "This is how my grandfather drank it. This is how I drink it. Like, this is very classic." And it's so funny because growing up, well, coming, not growing up, I guess, but once I got of drinking age, it was like, we're doing shots of tequila, we're putting it in a margarita, and that was it. It was like, we're going like balls to the wall, all in, getting wasted on it, or we're
Right. Yeah.
having it like mixed with stuff. It was never like a thing that you just sipped and enjoyed. So now I'm going to have to do that with mezcal and see how that
Mm.
is, because I bet that is also equally delicious.
Yeah, mezcal, old fashioned is one of my jams for sure. A little bit of a side note there about the tequila. When we're in college, that age, and you're drinking, shots of tequila and doing things, and everyone has that real bad experience with tequila. If your tequila doesn't say 100% agave on it, it's not. It's probably like 50 or like 49% corn mash whiskey, which is why I get a real bad hangover on there. So, steer clear of that if you're mixing up a cocktail for sure, or do what you want. You're the one drinking it, so do whatever makes you feel good. And that's probably going to be one of the morals that we learn in one of the films coming out this week, Michaela. It's going to be a big hitter. We're going to have to go see it because it's definitely going to be coming around again, Oscar time. But Inside Out 2 releases this week. You looking forward to going to repay a visit to your emotions? Now Riley is a
No,
teenager, so they're going to be a little bit more complex. It's a Pixar thing, so it's going to be sad. I guarantee it.
no, I'm not looking forward to this. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because the very first Inside Out ripped me apart. There is sad. Sad sometimes also is real stupid, and I don't understand that because stupidity is not an emotion. But sad does some things that really make me mad in the first one, and I did not
Mm.
like that. I also didn't like the
Is that
fact that they talked about an imaginary friend, and that breaks. I mean, it broke me. Oh my gosh,
mm.
it's so awful. But yeah,
Now
it's
is that because when the first Inside Out came out, you were looking at it with the emotions of a I don't know, 34-year-old as opposed to the
yes,
emotions of an 11-year-old, which is
yes, it,
what the film was trying to
yes.
convey?
Yes, it absolutely was. I was mad at the fact that I was feeling all these emotions. So that's why I didn't like it. Yes, absolutely true. But I will say the previews to this look amazing. First of all, it looks
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, as we all aren't surprised about. Like this is probably going to be up for best animated feature. It's got. I love some of the ideas that I already can see. There's this sarcasm, which is like this, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it looks like the Grand Canyon inside someone's brain, but like when you and it's some emotions are on either side of it talking to each other, and it's a sarcasm, so they everything gets misconstrued. That sort of thinking is just epic to me. I just find that like really spot on and like sharp. So I'm excited about that. But no, I mean, I'm gonna be a puddle of tears within the first 5 minutes of this. You know that. I know
That's
that.
true.
We all know
First
that.
first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, it's going to be a rough go, rough go. So if you're feeling extra emotional from that, you can go catch Bad Boys Ride or Die. It was the new release this past week. It took the weekend with $56 million dollars. So good job there, I guess. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence going back into that world. Michaela, we need to get out to see Inside Out 2 for sure. But, basically summer's over. So hopefully you've had all of your fun that you needed to have for the summer. Hopefully you've spent all the outside time that you needed to spend because it's all about TV now this summer. We've got some big stuff coming this
Mm,
week. We've got the second act, I guess, of the season of Bridgerton. It drops on June 13th on Netflix. A little show called The Boys is coming back around June 13th on Amazon. And then another lesser known television show, House of the Dragon, HBO,
great.
June 16th this Sunday. So hopefully your schedule has been cleared for TV watching because there's going to be a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Yeah, there is. So I've not, I don't know if you have started the third season of Bridgerton. I have not, because I don't like the fact that we get played around with in our emotions, and we have to like watch 3 or 4 episodes and then wait for a month. So I like to
Mm.
binge it all in one fell swoop. And I know what that word means. So that's what I do. So yeah, so I'm super excited to be able to watch Bridgerton by myself in a corner with popcorn and a box of tissues. The boys, let's see how more disgusting we can get. I mean, I don't know. After the last season, I thought
Yeah.
we had reached the pinnacle, and then like episode 2 of last season happened. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I love the storyline, but it is getting I mean, it's getting a little torture porny for me.
In my eyes, it kind of hit a switch last season where it got a little bit more off-putting than entertaining to the story. So we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll
yeah,
see how that comes
yeah.
around. But the story is really intriguing. And then House of the Dragon, I enjoyed the first season of that a lot. It was not without issues, at least in my eyes. But I'm definitely excited to see how this story carries on. And the Bridgerton, the halfway season thing, I actually like because I definitely prefer a week-to-week series as opposed to just binging everything all at once on Netflix. I'm reminded of the last season of Stranger Things, which did kind of the same thing. It even had a longer gap in between. It's two there, but it made it a little bit more rememberable instead of just watching,
Hmm.
just 8 episodes all at once, just crushing them. It gets a little bit forgettable for me in that sense. So I understand that people, love to binge through stuff, and we do the same. But I do like, digesting it a little bit slower, and it kind of forces you to do that, I guess, by releasing it that way. So let's see, what do we got coming out? We did Lion King last week for superfan Nora. Hopefully she enjoyed that episode. This week, though, it's not a movie. It's very different from Lion King. I guess it's still about someone who's cast aside. I guess some family trouble there, and Furiosa, a Mad Max story. So looking forward to talking about that one, Michaela. We just saw it, so fresh
Yeah.
on the mind, but really good. Excited to see it. It's not doing gangbusters at the old box office, but get out and see it because it's worth your time.
It is absolutely worth your time, especially if you were a fan at all of Fury Road. I think it's a good, I don't know, I would say it's a good ending, but it's the beginning. So it's a really good, I don't
It
know,
is a
addition.
it is a worthy predecessor
That's
to
right.
Fury Road for sure. So speaking of Fury Road and Mad Max and all the Mad Max things, we are going to be talking about Mad Max over on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/drink the movies. Go there, check that out for some bonus content. It's a really good way to support the podcast. We appreciate our patrons over there so much. Keep an eye out for Mad Max, the original Mad Max. They're very different, very different than Furiosa. But we're going to get into all that. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same in the Mad Max world. So we'll be talking about that. So with that, Michaela, we better go ahead and let's grab a couple of bottles of mezcal. We can do a little taste flights. We'll see how they vary and contrast. We'll see which flavors pique our interest the most. We'll mix up our cocktail for Furiosa, and we'll be back next week to chat to everyone in the lobby bar.